I'm Dr. John. This is your Maintenance Minute, reminding you to subscribe. That link below, right about there, I think it is. Hit that subscribe button and be part of this growing population of folks that are really learning how to set up an effective storeroom process and how to run a really valuable storeroom. Look, we got a pretty heavy topic to talk about today. This is one I absolutely love. I guarantee you, this is the process right here. This is the one that separates really good storerooms from world-class storerooms. This is the one right here. I guess there might be more, but this is the one that I tell my clients. This is the one that really separates you from everybody else. It's the kitting process. Very important, very important. And it's I'm also combining it with another process, which is called the delivery of kitted items. Now, here's what I want you to understand. Kitting, and most of you probably already know this, but just to make sure, kitting is just bundling all the parts and materials that you need before the job, putting them in some sort of box or tote or something, a pallet, whatever it needs to be in or on, and having that ready for when it's time to execute the job. The technician or somebody comes over and says, instead of, can I have all these individual parts, can I just have this job kit? That is a collection of all the parts and materials that have been made ready for the job. So it's really simple. It's very easy to understand. In fact, I tell my classes and I tell my clients, it's so easy to comprehend that a 16-year-old kid at McDonald's can kit, right? You go up to the drive-thru at McDonald's, order number 1, and when you get to the window, you're going to get a Big Mac and a medium fry and a medium drink, the food in a bag and the drink in a cup. The kid's going to put this together as a 16-year-old kid. What does he know about kitting, right? That's how easy it is to understand, but it is singularly the hardest thing to pull off. Big companies, probably bigger than your company, have failed at this, and then I'll go in and we'll be talking about kitting, and somebody will say, we tried that 20 years ago and it didn't work. Well, you weren't smart enough to pull it off, or you didn't have a process to pull it off. It's very easy to understand, and it's hard to pull off because there's a lot of trip points. There's a lot of places where you can stumble and fall down and then you pretty much get turned off from the process. Here's some of those trip points. When do you actually kit the part? The planner puts the job plan together and identifies the parts and materials. He or she will send that over to the storeroom in the form of a pick list. But I don't want you to pick the parts now and put them in that tote and set them aside. Heck, we might not actually do the job for 6 months, so don't pull the part out now. But in our process, we have to identify when we actually want the part pulled off of the shelf, but also the parts could be ordered in, right? So they are received in and go into a job kit. We need to understand when we actually kit the part. The other trip point is, when is the part removed from inventory? And this is when I'm working with clients, what we do is figure out, what does your software do? What does your CMMS do? When I identify a part for a kit, is it put in a soft reservation or a hard reservation? A hard reservation, it actually subtracts it from inventory. Even though it's physically still there, it's literally, on the computer, taken out of inventory and sets a demand on it. If it's a soft sort of reservation, it just sort of says that somebody's calling dibs on that part, so to speak. So I need to understand, when is the part actually pulled out of inventory? It may not actually happen until the kit is issued, right? And that part is sitting in a kit and it's sitting on a shelf somewhere for 6 months. It's still an active inventory. So think about cycle counting, right? You've got to go back and go, hey, we're missing one of those. Wait a minute, it's in a job kit. Let me go find it. So there's all kinds of problems and opportunities to screw that up. Again, very hard to pull off. Another one is, when is the part reordered? When does the computer sense the demand, subtracted from inventory in a sense, hit that reorder point to create that reorder, that purchase request for a reorder quantity? When does that actually happen? So what I do with my clients is, when we're setting up a kitting process, we're actually, the first couple of days, we're looking to see, what is the computer actually doing? I don't want to fight the computer. If the computer's kind of set up for its own little way to do some weird machinations or whatever, let's just go with that, right? We don't want to change the computer system just because we're trying to kit something. We need to understand what the software is doing, and then we need to work kind of within those boundaries. Now, in terms of delivery of kitted items, this isn't necessary for everybody. Most of the small manufacturing operations, you don't need to have this. I see this delivery process, which is the delivery's done by the store, by the way. I see this very common with my clients that are universities, folks I work with that are chemical plants, oil refineries, oil fields. Some of my clients have a large geographic area, so it makes sense that the parts are delivered. That has its own areas of opportunity for us to get tripped up. When do we actually deliver the item? I don't want to deliver, let's say you're an oil field out in, Oman or something. I don't want to deliver a pallet of $500,000 worth of parts out in the middle of the desert, no one around, sand blowing, the heat beating down on these parts. I got to have some real sense of where am I delivering? Where are the staging areas where I'm dropping the stuff off? And if the parts are still in inventory, there needs to be somebody to sign for them. Somebody say, yes, those are all the correct parts. That signing is that transfer of ownership of the part. How does that happen? Also, if it's really sensitive electronic equipment, we got to make sure we're not just setting the stuff out in the rain, again, or the sun beating down on it, or just the environment that it's in might be hazardous to the part itself, or the actual material may be hazardous, if it's a chemical or something like that. So this delivery of kitted items really makes sense for larger geographic laid out areas. It's done by the store, but we got to have real rules about it. Where are we delivering it to? Who's going to be there to sign for it, kind of confirm this transfer of ownership of the parts. The kitting process is the breaker between really good storerooms and world-class storerooms. It takes the combined effort of the storeroom and the maintenance department. And also the purchasing department, I guess, as far as this reordering of parts. It's also very critical that this is a process that is documented. There's a process guide for it, a workflow. That's what we're talking about, storeroom processes. That it's documented and people follow the process, and we continually improve as we get smarter on things. Very important process. This is the one that separates essentially the really good from the absolutely outstanding. I hope that you'll find an opportunity to discuss kitting and delivering of kitted items if it's right for you. Call me if you need any help. This is what we do for a living. Look forward to working with you. I'm Dr. John. This has been your Maintenance Minute.